Million, we were wondering if you could all just shut your pie hole. And the answer is yes, we can. Hey guys, welcome to the vlog. Million here with you. Millian, your ministry provocateur, iconoclast, firebrand, and the resident heretic here at Dominion Fire. Million, you do know Barack Obama's not president anymore, right? I'm like, yes, I know. I can't do a Trump impression that well. Can't do a Barack Obama impression that well, but hey, it's closer, you know what I mean? Anyway, history, guys, is very interesting. We're living in an amazing time right now. We're living in a period of history that's going to be talked about for years and years to come in the history books. You may not realize it because if you're caught up in all the turmoil of everything, it's hard to see the forest and the trees, as they say. You'll notice that lately on the content creation side, I've been very quiet. I've been almost disappeared for a while, and it's interesting because I've been just kind of observing and watching what happens. And if you haven't picked up on this now, social media has gone very toxic. I've heard it explained before that social media outlets are pretty much internet ghettos that they're herding everyone into for the purpose of controlling things, meaning controlling information you get, controlling news cycles, controlling narratives, and so on and so forth. And we're really starting to see that play out. Back in the old days, if you remember back then when there was only 3, 4, 5 TV channels, easy to control the narrative. But now with the internet and everything so spread out, they can't control in the same way. So what they have to do is herd people voluntarily into these places and lock them in, which I'll get to in a second. And so with that, I've been in something of a holding pattern myself because I like to focus on using some kind of discernment and a little bit of instinct and just kind of see what's shaping up. Because I don't want to go to the trouble to develop out a platform to decide one day that someone somewhere is going to be like, I'm offended by this, let's burn the whole thing down. And then you've done all that basically for nothing. You really need to develop your own platforms. In addition to that, you need to find these new and emerging outlets that are coming out to place your materials on that are not part of this system. Now, they're out there and they're emerging, but it's going to be a while. Stop sending traffic to other sites, because you'll see people when they have a project, right? They'll be like, oh, visit my YouTube channel, go to my Facebook page, go to my Twitter. You're driving your traffic, your blood and your work, you're sending that to them. And when they get that traffic, they get views, they get clicks, they get money, you're doing the work to make them money. And it's not a good system. If you're going to do that work, drive it to your own platform. And this is something I've been seeing coming for months, if not years. And Million, there's a 10 billion people going to be on there in the next 5 to 10 years. What good is that if no one's going to get a copy of any of the information I put out? You know, it's one of those kind of things. I've been mentioning for a while this thing called shadow banning, and I just want to talk about that briefly, and then we'll get on with this. But with shadow banning, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Apple, everybody's in on this. Vimeo's another one. What they do is they use these programs that they call algorithms, or they'll refer to it sometimes as organic reach. And what happens is these are AI or artificial intelligence programs that watch what you do, watch what you say, let you in on a secret. You know when you go to type a message on Facebook and then you think better of it and you delete it? Yeah, they keep a record of that too. They have keyloggers that watch what you write. It's all stored. You're not getting away from it. They monitor sites you visit, like Twitter. Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, just recently said that they scan your computer and your cookies to see what sites you've been. And if they don't approve of the sites you've been on, they turn their algorithms loose on you and they block you out. I know this for a fact because YouTube allows you as a content creator to shadow ban people that you don't like who make certain comments. So if you are going on my videos making comments and you don't seem to be getting any response, it's because I've shadow banned you because they've allowed you to do it. Sorry, if you're a jerk, that's just the way it goes. A Bible teacher who I've very much admired over the years. Now, I don't agree with everything. There's, you know, like anybody else. Certain things I agree, certain things I don't. A gentleman named Chuck Missler from Koinonia House was a brilliant guy. Just passed away not too long ago, which I was sad to hear. But what I really admired about him was his scientific stuff, his talk about things like lasers and time and gravity, and he would really tie stuff in like that with how it works in the Bible. Fascinating stuff. And what he always used to say, and I subscribe to this thing as well, is that the Bible's an integrated messaging system. And that was such a brilliant way to put it. And when you have communications in a war, as we are in with this whole spiritual battle thing, you have to anticipate hostile jamming. And this is kind of his message, which I'm just repackaging for you. So what you would do is instead of having a important piece of information maybe in one section of the Bible, what God did is he took it and he spread it out across the whole spectrum to anticipate hostile jamming. So that if you ever couldn't access part of a Bible, you can still get the message by piecing it together from different places. There's no single point of concentration that there's spread out over the spectrum for that reason, okay? So there's this content that I'm putting out and this stuff that I'm making, what my intention and my goal is to spread this out over multiple platforms. And this is something I'm working on with no single point of concentration, maybe except for the website. And even there's ways around that. So with this content that I am creating and putting out, the mothership is going to be my main website, dominionfire.com, and more specifically, the email list, because it's hard to block a website, but it can be done. It's even harder to block an email list because there's tons of ways around it. Now, as far as projects that we have going on, let me just kind of update you on everything so you know where we stand. Heal the Sick podcast. For years I've been working on this, and slowly we're walking towards the 100 episode count. I've been waiting for this for like 2 years, and I just one day I'm going to get there. I know it. I will get there. It's sort of like in church when they start talking about the rapture clock, and they're like, well, right now there's a clock, and the clock's on 11:59. Any minute that's going to tick over to midnight, it's going to kick everything. And I'm like, oh, I'll just work on the podcast. Can I just work on the podcast? It's like the end of the Truman Show, you know, where everybody's watching and they're like, how's it going to end? How's it going to end? And then you hit the 100 episodes to be like, all right, let's see what else is on. Let's go see what Praying Medic is doing. I like him. I love Praying Medic. Anyway, so the 100th episode, and after that, once I hit that mark, we're going to probably revisit with a bunch of the guests and see how the years have treated them. Now, we also have Dominion Fire 360, which is our interview program of just all different topics and people, which I really enjoy doing. And I'm working on a new one for the local market called Saint City Chronicles, because I don't call it Sin City because I don't want to label it that. I call it Saint City. So hopefully as things develop more, we'll do more for the Las Vegas area in addition. And the D-Fire vlog, as you are watching now, thanks for watching, by the way. We're going to keep using the social media outlets until they kick us off, if for no other reason than just to be a gigantic Christian thorn in their rear end. And you know what? When they kick us off, it won't matter because I got tons of other places. You can't jam the signal anymore, can you, Jacko? No, you can't. See, I can't imagine that idea of building something just to one day have it just pulled from you because some freak with purple hair and hipster glasses eating their vegan soy cheese decides to get offended and click a button. Sorry, I can't have my entire ministry platform built on some wacko like that. I'm just not going to do it. I'll use their platform against them as much as I can, and then they decide we're getting too hot, too much heat. Sorry, I got tons of other places. You ain't gonna stop me. And with things like YouTube, for instance, the reason that it's grown like it is because they rope you in because you don't have to pay for it. And they're the biggest, they're free, and remember, when it's free, you are the product. Simple as that. So our platforms, as of right now, just to give you a little preview, we got dominionfire.com. There's a new website called minds.com, which is a social media site. So minds.com/dominionfire, which will probably be our video section. BitChute.com, Real.video, Gab.ai is another one. I don't like Gab that much. I have a thing there. I just reserved it, but not sure if I like that or not, but you decide on your own. And there's a ton of these up-and-coming sites. And the problem with these up-and-coming sites is most of them in the beginning are just cesspools of crap. But what's going to happen is as people adopt them and more mainstream stuff works in there, that's all going to get pushed to the bottom. So remember, everything in life is a trade-off. The problem is, again, everything in life being a trade-off, it's infinitely harder now because you're totally on your own. And again, what are you going to do? It's just the cost of how things go. Now, a few cool projects in addition to that stuff is in the works, but always, like anything else, the issue is cost. And when you don't pay for the service, again, the product is you. That's the snare that these companies set, just so you know, is they give you all this cool stuff for free so that you voluntarily work your way into this. And that's how a snare works. You know, it says, well, the enemy's always setting snares for you. See, a snare is interesting because, yeah, it's a trap, but it's a progressive trap. Meaning that an animal like that has a snare, like he gets his head caught in it, and as soon as he realizes it and tries to fight, the more he fights, the tighter the thing gets until it eventually squeezes him out. So you get caught, you struggle to try to get out of this matrix that they've built, the noose just gets tighter. It's a progressive, gradual trap. Google is the master of this universe, by the way. Your Gmail, oh, it's free. We have to use it for our Android phones. It's huge. Everybody uses Gmail. Don't you notice that stuff you type to people ends up as a little ad on the side of your screen? Yeah, they're scanning your emails, man. Or your Android phone just kind of sitting on the desk there and you're talking to a friend. You know, I'm thinking of visiting New Brunswick. The next thing you know, you open your phone, there's an ad for, hey, flights to New Brunswick. Don't go to New Brunswick. Hey, Google's giving us free phone numbers so we can make calls and do business on. You don't think they're listening? You don't think you're being logged and archived? Yeah. If you want to break free, you just got to remember, it costs you money. And this is why Satan always convinces Christians of this poverty mindset, for how evil it is that we have money, we can't have things, and this is why we just have this issue, and why I always try to talk Christians out of having that poverty mindset. You see, if you control the money, you control the culture. You know, back in the old days, in the times of the Roman Empire under an emperor you've heard of named Nero, there was a system that they had in place. And under this system, it was called the agora. It was like a marketplace, like on your supermarket for groceries, right? What happens is that Nero fancied himself a god, and he felt that he should be worshipped. So whenever there was these little supermarkets that you went through, and again, I'm taking a little poetic license here, but play along, you get the drift is what I'm trying to tell you. What happened was, if you wanted to go to the grocery store, there was a cute little altar outside dedicated to Nero. All kind of stuff burning and this and that. And guess what? If you wanted to get into the grocery store to do your shopping, we're going to need you to do a little bit of worship for him right now. Oh, you don't want to worship? The gentleman over there with the sword would like to see you. Worship. And what would happen was, with this altar, they would actually take a little bit of the ash and the soot and all that crap. They would smear it on the person's forehead. And once you had that mark, you would be able to go in. It was sort of like your entry or your admission fee or whatever, right? Well, the thing was, one of the nicknames they had for Nero was the Beast. So what would happen was, you would go there. To get in and be part of the system, you had to worship the Beast. And to make sure that you did and somebody verified it, you would have to take the mark of the Beast. Sound familiar from somewhere? Yeah. See, you couldn't participate unless you had the mark of the beast. So in other words, to do anything, you had to follow the system that was set up for you, or you were SOL. I really hope you have a wheat field, because you better start grinding your own flour if you want these Oreos. Right? You were funneled into the preset system whether you liked it or not. So again, the mark of the beast, not this person or this digital chip that's getting implanted in your hand. Sorry to kick your sacred cow. It's a commerce system. And guess what? Oh, Million, the mark of the beast is coming. Hate to break it to you, man. It's been here for years. You're just realizing that it's a snare now. Sorry. Crazy what knowing a little history can do for you, huh? But why does it not bother me? Why am I not scared? Why am I not worried? Why am I not freaking out, hiding under a rock and doing this? Because like everything else that has tried this, it fails. Here we are a couple thousand years later. Nero is dead and buried in the ground. God's still going and we're still here, ain't we? So, and this is the thing that people get freaked out about the enemy. Every time he tries these massive coups and overtaking of the system, he fails. Have you read the end of the book? We win. No, Million, God wins. Yeah, and we're all in this together. You co-labor with him. You're joining the spirit. He wins, we win. We're all part of the family here, man. Stop denying your birthright. I'm begging you. We all win in the end. You can't stop us. You could try to stop God. You're not going to. You're cute for trying, though. We appreciate it, but it's not going to work. So, in spite of all that, be aware of what's going on. Why does it take so long to do all this stuff that I do here? Well, it's simple, because I self-fund this project. But you got to remember, I'm one person. I don't really get any help with this. This is kind of me running the whole show. Now, with that, God has blessed me tremendously with a ton of work in my voiceover business and my audio production. The economy's on fire. The last few months has been tremendous. So I will get to it as I can. I wish it was easier. I wish I had more help. I wish things were different at times, but sometimes it's the way it is, and you got to do what you got to do. So if you like our content, here's what you do. You can go to iTunes. They're also guilty of it, but they're not quite as bad. You can sub to all the podcasts. That's the best way to get that content. Check out all the platforms I mentioned earlier in the video. You can go look around and start locking in there if that's what you're going to use. Most importantly, always visit the website at dominionfire.com. That's where the whole epicenter of everything is going to happen. Bookmark the website. Now, you can share content on social medias, because what's going to happen is if one person posts and they try to block it, that's one thing. If 100, 200, 1,000 people all post the same thing, going viral is what they call that, they can't stop all that. They could technically ban all those people, but it's way too much. Join the email list on the website, because that's a main communication system. Again, spread it out across the spectrum. We'll get the message out. Love your help in this, so if you enjoy what we do here, I would ask you to please help us in this, to just tell people where we are, what we do, share the content, and any help is appreciated, and I thank you for that. Remember what I told you? Get yourself out of the snare. Let's go win this thing. See you next time.